Don't you hate body limitations? When I use the word hate, I hear my grandma and my mom's voice saying, "Hate's a strong word," but I feel strongly about this, so I'm gonna use it. I hate the limitations that my body hands me every single day, especially in more frequency as I get older. Can you relate? Waking up and your knee's just hurting, or your neck won't turn to the right, or your tummy's not doing the right things. Those transient things that just seem to come out of nowhere and thankfully eventually work their way through. Or maybe even you're carrying a chronic illness. I have a chronic illness diagnosed when I was around 30. And not that it's a secret, and maybe someday I'll talk about it. It's more of a distraction at this point to this video. But that's something I also carry every single day. And I've learned to, I've learned to roll with what my body can do in a particular day. Instead of pushing back and fighting it, also not completely surrendering, I'm not a victim to it, but just checking in and saying, what am I capable of today? Where are my energy stores, my resources, and what am I capable of doing today? And trying to the best of my ability to honor that. We don't always have full control over what's required of us in a day, right? But when I have the power over how I spend my time, energy, activities, then I usually try to cater as best I can to what my body is able to do, and it all works out so much better, as opposed to, like I said, pushing back and fighting, or ignoring it and doing too much, or I pay the consequences. I've just learned over the last almost 30 years of how to manage a body that doesn't always seem like it's in partnership with me. But here's what I was reflecting on. I was reflecting on, even though we know the right things, like even though I know logically, I've helped a lot of people with chronic illness and limitations over the years as a counselor. Even though I know the logical way of dealing with these type of limitations, of how to emotionally process and to reframe and all of the things, doesn't mean that I always apply it in a healthy way to myself. Because there's a whole emotional capacity that is required to be able to stay in a good mind space when your body hands you limitations, especially as we get older, right? You get into your 50s, 60s, and 70s, empty nester, in retirement. We don't have as many distractions as we used to. And that means that our bodies attract more of our attention and energy, right? So that we, focusing on a certain ache and pain and limitation becomes almost irresistible. I'm sure we've all been in that situation where you have like a pain, say a headache, and it's not so bad that you can't be distracted by it. And when you get involved with something else, for a moment, that headache doesn't exist, right? And then when your plate is kind of cleared off in terms of your busyness of your day, you realize, oh, it's just still pounding. But you were able to distract for a little bit. Well, as we get older, we have less distraction. And so we tend to zero in a little bit more on those type of things in our lives, which I don't know if it's a very good thing. I think we've all noticed in groups of people who are older, uh, a good portion of the conversations, at least for a while, focus in on how are all our bodies doing, how our GI system is going, how did we sleep last night, what new ache and pain, what new doctor's appointment. And I'm not saying that with judgment. I'm actually reflecting on the latest conversation I had with a good group of girlfriends, and that's kind of what we did. It's almost like you just you just take inventory, right? Like everybody gets their chance to update where they're at physically, and then you just get on with things, usually talking about, your kids or something. Uh, but people our age, it's easy to slip into feeling a victim to the limitations of our bodies. And like I said, I don't say that with judgment, because even though I have the knowledge of how not to fall into that trap, it doesn't mean that I don't ever fall into that trap. I definitely do. And I would say this a couple weeks ago. I was having a bit of a pity party about how my body was choosing to treat me. I felt victimized by it, honestly. I felt victimized by it. But once I sort of reminded myself that it's pointless to feel a victim to your own body, it's pointless to fall over and swoon, it's pointless to fight back and be angry about it. I mean, give yourself a few minutes to have those moments. There's not anything wrong with that. It just doesn't lead to productive places. But instead, say, what is it that I have today to work with? Right? It's not a moral, ethical character judgment just because your body is not able to run a marathon today or some version of it. Although our world would like to communicate otherwise. Productivity and accomplishments and busyness, over scheduled are massively valued in our world. And so that's a double down of negativity we put on ourselves because we're not coming anywhere close to the cultural ideal in terms of productivity and busyness when our bodies are not cooperating. Or we can just push super hard and then it hurts our bodies even more. And to what end? And to what end? So, my encouragement to you, and the point of this video is to say that some of us are born with chronic illnesses or they develop over time. And even if you are spared that earlier in life, as you get older, into your 50s, 60s, and 70s, you will not escape the limitations of your own body, the aches and pains, the mysterious illnesses, all of those things. And to learn to come to peace with those things and without judgment, do a personal inventory and see what you're capable of today. Sometimes we can go for a walk with our friends, and sometimes we just have to sit and drink tea with them. Sometimes we have to turn down an invitation to something, or we accept it, but we say we're going to have to leave a little bit earlier. Like all of those things are okay. Give yourself permission to acknowledge where you're at physically as you're getting older and to meet those needs without guilt, regret, embarrassment, shame, all of those things. It's okay. And I would say if you've never had like chronic illness, health issues as you were going through your life, this phase, in retirement, empty nest, is probably harder on you than a person who's had to adapt to that way of thinking. So this message is even more important for you, is that it is okay to do a personal inventory, every morning and say, what am I capable of? And honoring that, not fighting against it, not pushing through it because it'll cost you, and not being victimized by it, but just acknowledging who you are today and what you have to offer. And it'll work out so much better for you day to day. And overall, you'll be an encouragement to the people around you when you're setting healthy boundaries and acknowledging your limitations. It gives them permission to do so also. Anyway, I was just thinking of that because I was facing some limitations and some acknowledgments this morning about all of that and just reflecting. And I am sure that some of you have those same experiences. Comment and tell us some of your wisdom you have learned through the limitations of your bodies and how you're doing with all of that. All right, thank you so much for joining me. Go enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm sure we'll be talking soon. Bye-bye.